So, today we're going to make this extremely cool game. It has a soundtrack, and it has sound effects and video effects, and this extremely advanced menu. So when you click here, the game starts, and you need to escape from an asteroid, and you are having limited power, so when the power goes off, you can't properly escape an asteroid. And the longer you stay away from the asteroid, the better. So yeah, that's the game that we're going to make. Let's start by picking where we stopped in the previous lesson. By the way, if you haven't yet looked at this, check the link in the description. And what we're going to do now, so in the previous lesson we managed to create a game where we have a spaceship which can move. Now what we need to do to the spaceship, we need to add menu, we need to add an asteroid, and we need to add a collision check logic. So let's do this. So the first step, I'm going just to copy paste what I had in the spaceship, because that's going to be a cool starting point. Let me do some rename. Let's call this Asteroid. That's going to be the name of our game. Now check this out. I have already two classes in my main Python script, and my main Python script becoming a bit crowded. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a very typical thing. For a developer, I'm going to try to take it into a separate layer or abstraction. So basically, I'm going to create a new package. Let's call this model, where I will put all the classes which are not related to the main script. So here I'm going to create a new module, and that module is going to contain spaceship and fire classes. So yeah, that's how you can see the fires, and very interesting effect is that the fires are a bit lagging behind the spaceship, actually making the animation a bit cooler. Okay, so let's add an asteroid, and for this we're going to use a very interesting auto-generated sprite, and we also will make it animated a bit. So like a real asteroid in the space, it's usually rotating, so we're going to make this rotation as well. Let's create a new class in our model, and we call this an asteroid. And we are going to create an actor as well, just as we made with other playable and non-playable characters which hold a sprite. So we are creating a new class called Asteroid. It is an actor child, and we also need to create a sprite for this. So that's the sprite that I'm going to use for an asteroid. Quite neat, I would say, and when it's going to be rotating, it's going to be also quite nice. The only thing is that if you see, the sprite is not taking all the space available, so we will need to do some extra tricks when we are checking the collisions, but it should not be a big problem. So let's see. Let's create just a constructor, asteroid, xy, velocity. I'm not going to provide velocity here, I'm just, let's say velocity is here. And we're going to reuse the logic for the location that we had in our first lecture when we had a circle just hitting the walls. So basically I'm going to just copy paste the logic, and that should be nearly fine. So where are our great balls? So here it is. We have velocity, we have angle, we have x and y, which is nice, and we can just copy this Right, so I'm taking it here to the asteroid, I'm copying it here, and let me fix a couple of things. And that should create an asteroid hitting the walls like we had with the ball. Now we're going to add this to the main game. Don't forget to do this. So we have our sprites collection here. So we are creating our asteroid here. Let's say 100, 100 as a starting point. Probably all right. So from model asteroid, import asteroid, looks fine. And we're going to add it here as well. Looks good to me now. Let's see. Yes, that's our lovely and great asteroid hitting the walls with 90 degrees angle. That is because we need to randomize angle somehow. Right now angle is 0. So let's see how we did this with the ball. So let me do this here as well. So going to an asteroid, we're going to have self angle, and that is going to be this. And obviously we need to import random. Let's see. Yes, now a lovely asteroid hitting the walls. Right now what we can just collide with it as much as we want. There is no collision detection, so we're just going to chase this for some time because it's super fun. Probably my next game should be doing something like this. But never mind that, we have an asteroid. Let's make it rotating. So to make this rotating, we're using a property angle. And let's start at angle 0 and let's just progressively change our angle in the update method. So let's say self angle and increase it a bit. That should be fun. Yeah. Oh, what's going on? It's actually crazy. I was expecting it to rotate. That's why. That's why it's actually doing crazy. And that's the reason, because I'm using angle twice here. So it's not rotating. I need to change the variable because there is an angle which is used by Pygame Zero to rotate an object, and there is another angle that I'm using for computing the trajectory of the asteroid. So let's say it, let's make it not the angle, but let's just call it K. Okay, so let's check this out. Let's see how it's gonna work now. It's really crazy. And it is rotating, but it is too fast to see this. Yeah, that looks okay to me. So right now we have created an asteroid, which will be going to be our main enemy in this game, in addition to time and lack of power. As a next logical step, I think we want to be able to detect the collision between an asteroid and spaceship. And as a simple start, let's just count the number of the collisions between the spaceship and asteroid. So I'm going to create just some class. Let's call this class a state, and let's just put it somewhere here. So class state. I don't need a spaceship, I don't need an asteroid, I don't need a fire. What I need here is to say number of collisions. Just collisions num. Then I'm going to have a method, let's say register collision. And then pretty much it. Now here I'm going to just write the collision as a text. Draw text, and let's say collisions. Yeah, that looks alright. That looks actually fine. So what we need to do now is to create a state. And that should be working fine. Let's just see if I can see a text. Yeah, collision 0, all good. And now we need to be able to detect the collision and update the state if necessary. As the most simple way to detect the collision between spaceship and asteroids, I can use an update function here. So let's say if spaceship collides with an asteroid, we register the collision. And it's actually not collide, it's collide point. We are starting game here again. And that should be working fine. Okay, check this out. It is counting the collisions are really fun, and that is because it takes some time to go through the spaceship. To fix this, we could possibly add some kind of a timeout before registering the collisions, but in our case we don't really care because even a single collision is enough for us to count a spaceship as destroyed. So it works just well for our purposes. So our game is almost ready. What we need to do now is to create a menu. So we would have two different states of the game. You're playing the game and you are not yet playing the game. Let's start by creating a menu with a clickable button. To do this, we will first create a rectangle, which will be our button holder. We, by the way, don't need an actor import here, but we will add another import. So from Pygame, import rect, and we will create a rect just in the middle of the screen, right here. And let's just draw this rectangle to see if we can draw it at all. Yes, let's create a red color constant. It's gonna be just like that. Let's make it a bit less red than that, and let's see if it draws a rectangle. Yes, we have a rectangle, which will be used for our button. Now, what we can do, we can write a text in this rectangle. To do this, you use screen draw text box method. Screen draw text box, then the text, start game, then you provide the box, and then you provide the color. First, I would like it to be orange. I like orange. And let's take the background away because it didn't work very well. So let's see. Yeah, start game. And it is in our rectangle. So looks like an almost normal button. By the way, let's see if I can change a color here to orange. Color orange. And let's see if it's gonna work. Yes, it works fine. I like this button more. Now we don't need a red as a constant. We can just delete this. We have our lovely button. Now we need to make a state which will be basically checking if the game is started or not. Before doing this, let's add a handler for clicking on this button. For this, you use an on mouse down function. And here we are going to just check if the position of your mouse click collides with the box. And instead of the printing game, we will just update our state. Let's say state start game. Yeah, like that. And in our state we have self game started false, and start game will just make it true. Let's see. Actually, let's just write it here. So screen draw text game started, color white. Yeah, let's see. So right now, oh yeah, there is a typo. Let's get rid of this. So right now, nothing is happening. So right now, game started is false. I'm going to click on the button. Yes, game started, true. So we are nearly there to create a menu. So in our update and draw method, we're going to check if game is started. If game is not started, both update and draw going to behave differently. First, in update, we don't need to update sprites, we don't need to check for the collisions because game is not started. So let's say if game state game started, then we do this. Now here, we don't need to show the button start the game if game is started. So if game started, we're going to update sprites and we're going to check for the collisions. If game is not started though, we're going to check the button and draw button. We don't need to show if game started anymore. Now, if there is a collision instead of registering collision, or basically in addition to registering the collision, we will update the game state. Let's say we will stop the game. Def stop game here. So let's check if it's gonna work. So stop game makes the game false, makes the game started false. So we're going to go here where we are drawing the button. If game is started though, we're updating sprites, we're updating everything, and we're checking for the collisions. Let's see how it works. So here our menu, we click in start game, and we are checking for the collisions, and as soon as we are hitting the asteroid, we are going to stop the game. I can't hit it! What the hell? The game works the wrong way. I can't close the game. Come on! Yes! Now the game stopped and I can't start it again. Actually can't start it. And the reason why I cannot restart the game is because both sprite and asteroid are collided at this point. We are not updating their state, they are not moving. But instead of them colliding, I need to be able to recreate them. So let me change the game start here. So on mouse down, when I'm started the game, that's where I'm going to actually create both asteroid and ship. Our game is not starting because we are not resetting and we are not moving the spaceship and an asteroid. But we want to reset them because the game should be started from the start. So what we need to do, we need to create a reset method, which will be basically creating the spaceship from the scratch and creating the asteroid from the scratch. So let's go to our spaceship here. Reset would be just recalling the init here. Let's say def reset. Now what we need to do here, because we can't provide this, we don't need to provide that, we don't need to provide this, we don't need to provide that, but we need to reset X and Y. And for this, let's save self original X and then self original Y, and then we are going to reset them here. So now I'm able to reset a spaceship, and basically the same I want to do for an asteroid. So go in here, let's add a reset. And basically, let's add the storage for the original X and Y here. And that should do the trick. Let's see. Start game. Start game. Yes, now we can play. So we are nearly there. Of course, this game is not as advanced as the one I showed at the start, but I think I have gave you all the tools to make it as advanced as the one that I showed at the start. Except for one, for adding a music. Everything else is just a mechanics that you should be able to do by yourself. But if you are not able to do it by yourself for any reason, I will upload the complete code to the GitHub repository, to which there is a link in the description, so you can just use it as basically a template for your game advancement. But before wrapping all this, let's add music. To add background music, it's actually extremely simple. First, you're creating a music folder, and then you are copying your music MP3 there. I think it sounds nice. Yeah, so just let us play this music. And actually that's one-liner. First of all, we are going to our game. We adding another import here. We are importing music, and then we are calling music play. That's basically it. Let's check this out. It should be working. And we have a really cool music. Yeah. So that's basically it. That's how you can create a simple 2D games in Pygame Zero. In the next video, I will give my thoughts on if I think a Pygame Zero is a good framework for writing games, what it does well, what it does not so well. I'm not going to publish any more Pygame Zero tutorials. Instead, I'm going to create a tutorial on a very nice framework for creating retro 2D games in Python called Pygame. It is awesome. Stay tuned and make sure to check this new tutorial out.